Hello, my name is Christina Jimenez,
And I'm Josh Floyd.
and today we're going to give you a brief introduction on how we would like you to testify over a Zoom hearing. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of the courts right now are utilizing Zoom for online hearings, and so we want to give our clients some instruction on what we would expect you all to do in utilizing Zoom. So the first thing is if at all possible, please make sure that you are using a computer. And we know that that's not always going to be available to a lot of our clients, but if at all possible, make sure that you use that. The main reason being that when you are using a phone, obviously the angles are a little bit inappropriate, and the microphone isn't as good, the backdrop isn't going to be as good, and so you need to keep in mind that when you are doing this testimony, you are attempting to do it from a setting of the courtroom, right, as if you were in a courtroom. So we want it to look as professional as possible. So when using your computer or your phone, you're going to have to download Zoom, and so I'll let Mr. Floyd kind of take lead on that.
Okay, so to download Zoom, I'm going to share my screen here. You'll just go to, let me share it, there we go, to zoom.com. And then up here in the right, you'll see resources. If you just hover over that, it'll drop down to download Zoom client meeting. And you'll download this first one here, the Zoom client meeting. Another option is whenever you have a court hearing coming up, you'll be sent a link that we receive from the court. And so when you get that link, you can click on, here, let me show you what the link looks like. So this is, can y'all see that? Is that too small? So this is what your invitation will look like. And this down here will be the link. Sorry, this one here will be the link. And when you click on the link, it will take you to this page. And from here, you can click download and run Zoom right there. We'll have the same effect, download Zoom, and it'll join you into that meeting. That's how to download.
So the one thing that it's imperative for a lot of clients to remember is please make sure that you are in a place that has a stable internet connection. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is for us and for other lawyers and for the courts whenever you are trying to operate off of a cellular network and it keeps chopping in and out and you keep breaking up. A lot of times we do have to completely stop the hearing and reconnect, or sometimes the courts, depending on time, will just call the hearing altogether. So you need to have good, stable internet connection. Obviously, you can come into our office if that is something that we need to handle for you or assist you with. But it is important that we have stable connections. The other thing is using your microphone. And so, Floyd, I think you have a screenshot of the microphone and the main page of Zoom.
I do.
And so one of the things that we want to make sure of is when you are not speaking and you're not testifying, that we are always on mute. And we actually have a couple of courts that will hold you in contempt if your microphone is not on mute. And again, it's just for courtesy for the entire court system. If there's a bunch of background noise on your end, then it's going to be distracting to the rest of the testimony and to the court reporter who is going to be typing everything up as you are speaking. So Floyd, if you can show them that.
So this is what it looks like from a computer. Each phone is different if you have to use your phone. And so that's when we run into a lot of problems, which is why Ms. Jimenez recommends that we use computers. But down here, you'll see this microphone here. All you have to do is click on that to mute your microphone. This little arrow here, it'll give you options to select your microphone. But whenever you're not talking, you want to make sure that you click on that microphone and it'll put a red line through it like this does here on the video. So this person has their microphone on, but their video off. And so whenever you're not speaking, you want to make sure that you have that red line across your microphone as well so that nobody can hear any of the background noise.
Very good. And also whenever you click mute, I can show you here really quickly. When I click mute, it'll be on the bottom corner of my photo. So you can see right next to my name, there was a little mute button. The other thing is when you are logging in and you're creating or downloading the Zoom info, you have to put your name on there. Put your full name on there. If you were using somebody else's Zoom account or somebody else's phone, you please need to make sure that you change that to indicate your name, because otherwise it's going to cause confusion for us and for the courts. Now, going back to the microphone, it is important to remember that from the time that you start speaking, a lot of times there's going to be a delay. And so you need to make sure that you're accounting for that delay. And then also, you know, kind of a trick of the trade when you are testifying, when you're on cross-examination, if you're being asked a question by the other side, make sure that you are putting in a brief pause. I normally tell my clients at least 3 seconds to give me the opportunity to object if there is something that they're not supposed to be asking you or something that you're not supposed to be saying. So, Floyd, is there anything else you wanted to add on the delay issue?
No, it irritates the judges whenever you are talking too quickly and the court reporter can't take the record. So just make sure you give that delay so that your testimony can come out.
Very good. Now next is clothing. So the way that we have instructed our clients and the way that the court has instructed us is that you have to behave as if you were in a courtroom setting, and that includes your clothing. And so for women, I typically say no low-cut blouses, no tank tops, no spaghetti straps, nothing sheer or see-through. We really want to have our Sunday best on. You know, obviously makeup needs to be conservative, hair needs to be conservative, because we literally have 20 to 30 minutes to paint a picture for these judges, and we don't want them to be so focused on the way that you look or what you're wearing and it take away from the actual facts of your case. Floyd, what about for men?
So for men, we'll wear a button-up shirt, a jacket, a tie, if you have one. I mean, if you don't, then a button-up shirt is fine, but I would prefer you in a suit, just like you would go to church.
Very good. Now, the other thing is your camera angle. And so again, this is a fundamental problem with people using their cell phones, because a lot of times what we have seen is people have their cell phones and it's kind of, we're looking up their nose or we're looking, you know, down on them, and sometimes down people's blouses, which is incredibly uncomfortable. Or you'll see people, you know, kind of walking with their cell phone through their house, in their cars on their cell phone. And so it's just incredibly unprofessional when people do that. And so that's, again, why we ask that you use your computer. When you're using your computer, you really want to try to be as center as you possibly can be. And you'll notice that both Floyd and I are kind of in the middle of our screens. You know, you don't want to have a position where you're up like this and kind of chopping your body off, or that you're really, really low. We want, again, for you to be center stage and for you to look professional in the presence of the judge. Which brings me to the next thing, which is the backdrop, Floyd.
So with the backdrop, you want to make sure that it's a professional. A blank wall is fine. Nothing behind you. You want the judge paying attention to what you're saying and not being distracted by what's going on behind you. If you've got crazy photographs or whatever behind you, they're going to be busy looking at that stuff and not really paying attention to what you're saying. And so you want it to be, again, conservative, blank wall, blank color, something like that, so that the judge is really focusing on your testimony.
And with that, we also want to make sure that there are not any third parties in the room while you are testifying. We had a hearing where the other party had the children in the background, and we were fighting for custody of these children. And needless to say, the judge was not happy that the children were potentially privy to all the testimony. So no children, no third parties. A lot of courts are going to give you instructions to say that you cannot have any third parties in the room, but you need to make sure that we're remembering that. Kind of along with that, we need to make sure that we're in a quiet room. We don't want a lot of noise in the background. And then lastly, please do not record these videos. That is something that is going to be incredibly frustrating to this courts. I know some courts will issue a contempt order, which means that you can go to jail for recording the videos, so please do not do that. And then finally, going kind of back to the backdrop is with your lighting, we don't want you sitting in front of windows, because then what happens is you have a big light coming from behind you and you just look like a big O shadow. So make sure, like Floyd said, you're in a blank wall or just a very conservative backdrop. Going to documents, there are, again, going to be documents that we're going to have to share with you, or the other side's going to have to share with you, which means that if you're on your cell phone, it's going to be very difficult for you to maybe read some of that stuff. So again, let's get on a computer to make sure that you can be, you know, a participant, an active participant in this courtroom setting. And then finally, just kind of a miscellaneous thing that will sometimes happen, depending on the age of your children, the judge could request to talk to them. And if that happens, I need you to make sure that you hand them the device or exit the room, and that you step away, that you're nowhere even remotely close to their presence, because again, if you would like to be held in contempt of court, that is a surefire way for that to happen. Floyd, is there anything else that we need to make sure that we're explaining?
The only thing I would add is, although you're over video, you're in the comfort of your own home or wherever you're doing it from, we treat it like we're in real court. And so the same rules for testimony apply. You know, if you were on the witness stand, you don't have anybody helping you with your testimony. You can't do that here, right? If you go on the witness stand, you can't take documents and notes to refer to. You can't do that while you're on video. And that's particularly important because if you are asked if you're referring to documents, and in fact you are, they will pause the hearing and the other side gets to review all of that stuff that you have in front of you, your personal notes, notes between us, whatever it is. And so the same rules apply. Even though it feels like you're relaxed, we've still got to be professional, just as though we're in the courtroom.
And so our hope is, and it's the same thing whenever we are handling, you know, hearings in the physical courtroom setting, we always try to portray this level of professionalism, and we ask that our clients do the same, because it does impact your ability to be successful in the courtroom and your ability to actually win whatever it is that we are fighting for. And so hopefully these tips will be of a lot of assistance to you. I can assure you that if you follow them, we're going to have a lot more success in ascertaining whatever it is that you want us to ascertain. So thank you guys very much for listening, and we will see you in the courtroom.